This Ag Business Update brought to you by American Implement, indebted to the past, committed to the future. In a moment, Rabobank's Don Close on the cattle markets.
S&S Trailer Sales, with 2 locations in Ness City, Kansas, is where everybody goes to buy or rent trailers. They feature the all-new, all-aluminum Mauer grain trailer with all of the electric options, the easy-to-load detached trailers, and a huge stock of header trailers. At the West location, you'll find bumper poles, goosenecks, and oilfield specialty trailers, along with flat and utility beds for pickups. S&S Trailer Sales in Ness City and on the web, but remember, you do have to spell out the and.
Would you like to see something done about high gas prices and low unemployment? Western Place Energy in Campus, Kansas is doing something about it. They're a proud part of Growth Energy, America's ethanol supporters, and they employ 38 people and will be adding more following the expansion. Ethanol fuel not only reduces the cost of regular gasoline, it's good for the environment and keeps money right here in the United States while supporting local rural jobs. Western Plains Energy, doing something for the future.
And joining us is Don Close, who is the Senior Vice President for Food and Ag Research and with primarily animal protein with Rabo Ag Finance. Don, always great to have you on. Thanks.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
All right, let's talk about it. Rabo Ag Finance just came out with their latest deep dive in the beef sector. It has been quite a roller coaster yet again, but some of the issues we were dealing with over the wintertime, Don, haven't gone away.
You know, it's been longer since the wintertime. The industry's been fighting over the market transaction type, the price discovery and transparency deal. It's 20 years. And certainly the last 2 years, the market's been absolutely at loggerheads. As much as anything, what I was trying to accomplish with this report is there's just so much misinformation and outright falsehoods that are in the marketplace today. I tried to lay out the price history of the various transaction types and say, look, there is not the variation in prices to producers by transaction type that's been represented.
We'll talk about that because I think, it seems like the coffee shop talk is, we hear the morning and afternoon reports on boxed beef. We see what's being getting at the sale barns as well as what's in some of those contracts. And the disparity is just one that really has folks in the countryside just up in arms and beside themselves, and nobody seems to have an answer.
I have absolutely no disagreement with the level of frustration that currently exists in the marketplace. It's there. I think the thing that we have to look at is, since our low point in U.S. cattle numbers in 2014, we added 6 million cattle to the U.S. inventory. 3 million of that was cows and then their offspring. During that same period of time, we have done virtually nothing to increase slaughter capacity. And in fact, we've had several setbacks, referencing the Tyson fire, referencing the COVID disruption, the backlog of cattle associated with that. And so it is just simply a leverage situation where, at least temporarily, we have a larger fed cattle supply than what we've got slaughter capacity. And it's going to take a period of time to get that resolved. Now, excuse me, as we said, U.S. cattle numbers peaked in 2019, and we have been contracting numbers for 2 full years now, and will be 3. And so we're just now to a point with the backlog of feed yard inventory, the backlog of cattle outside of feed yards due to COVID, is that rat is working through the snake. And I think with the May placement numbers, certainly the June placement numbers, we will finally be seeing the effects of the reduced placements that ourselves and other analysts have been promising producers for some time.
Well, we hear of the drought up north in the Dakotas, and we see a lot of special sales, a lot of cows coming to town. Those probably aren't getting redistributed in other parts of the country. We're seeing a lot of cows just going to go away. So are we speeding up that process of getting back to smaller numbers?
Absolutely true. And the real uncertainty now is, how much will that maintain or accelerate through the summer? But in the last 4 to 6 weeks, we saw just a 12 to 15,000 head weekly increase in non-fed slaughter, and that's predominantly beef cows. Dairy cow slaughter pretty much the normal. So I think we are seeing that acceleration. Where I would see any differences at all is most of those cows are directly associated with the drought in the West. But if you take the increased cost to producers in the Southeast with increased fertilizer cost, increased management cost, I think if there's a surprise, it's the number of Southeast cows we're seeing in that mix as well.
Okay. Don Close, Rabo Ag Finance is joining us. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk demand and where all this beef is going. We'll do that in just a moment.
Wolfter Construction and Irrigation has been around a long time, and a lot of folks have trusted them to design, build, and service all sizes of commercial and on-farm storage for grain and equipment. Wolfter is also known for their outstanding irrigation division, where they stock a complete selection of nozzles, regulators, drops, gear drives, electrical, and structure components. Looking for an electric motor? Wolfter has a large selection in single and 3-phase. Next time, reach out to the pros who have decades of experience at taking care of business the right way. Wolfter Construction and Irrigation. When you've had a best friend for over 50 years, you develop a trust. And the Scott Co-op has been a trusted rural friend since 1957. A co-op keeps money in the area, doing business for and with their members. And that helps keep their hometown thriving with keeping money in the community. Scott Co-op is not just an elevator. It's the rural way of doing business. So, when you see an elevator, remember your friends at Scott Co-op.
And Don Close, Senior Vice President of Food and Ag Research with the animal protein sector with Rabo Ag Finance is joining us. And Don, we've been talking about, the cow numbers and what's going on. We do see, though, box beef numbers are high and demand seems to be high, not only here starting to come back, but globally. Let's take maybe a bite of both of those. COVID seems to be now those restrictions going away, food service coming back, but overseas really likes U.S. beef.
It has been nothing short of phenomenal. And as you said, we've had incredibly strong retail demand for the full year. But now that we're getting the build back of the pipeline inventories for the hotel and restaurant sector, and people returning to restaurants pulling from that inventory, it has been phenomenally good. Part of that whole explanation is U.S. consumers' disposable income has been at all-time record levels, and that's been driven twofold. A, from the amount of government stimulus money that's in the economy has certainly helped, but it's also with that year of staying at home. We weren't buying as much gasoline. We weren't buying $15 to $20 business lunches out. We weren't, no entertainment outside the house, no wardrobe updates. And so that additional cash that wasn't being spent elsewhere enabled consumers to eat better at home. And now that we've been in that pattern and everybody, the level of cabin fever that existed after the year at home, everybody's eager to get out. So yeah, that's been a driver.
International markets also, we've seen some pick up that we thought maybe were lost or weren't near as strong just maybe 18 months ago.
The export front equally is good, and it's a really simple answer. It's China. That we've got a market that was just approved in June of 2017. And now suddenly they're our third largest customer of U.S. beef. If you add to that the shortfall of production that's going on in Australia as they try to recover from the severity of drought. And then you take Brazil just simply oversubscribed how much product they could deliver and are tightening inventories. That places that global market towards the U.S. And that's one we think will be sustained.
Before we let you go, let's talk about JBS and some of the other companies out with how they're going to reduce greenhouse gases over the next couple of decades. What does that mean for the future of the beef industry?
I actually think, there's a misunderstanding, and we have this debate between the greenhouse gas emission or methane emissions from confined animal feeding to animals out on grass. And the truth of the matter is that confined feeding concentrated rations has a lower greenhouse gas emissions than the conventional grass-fed animal. So I think that will, when science is rules, that will be positive. But the whole greenhouse gas and carbon neutralization, I think with so many companies committing to be carbon neutral by XXX, whatever year. And the only place to go to that is agriculture and sinking carbon into the soil. I think the demand for those carbon credits will grow to a point where it's finally quite beneficial for U.S. agriculture.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing how that continues to develop, Don. As always, great to talk to you. Appreciate your insights, and I'm sure we'll talk again as we continue to navigate through this cattle market.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Don Close, who is a Senior Vice President for Food and Ag Research for Animal Protein with Rabo Ag Finance, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the last 75 years. With one exception: keeping electricity affordable.
Wheatland Electric, delivering energy for life, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
1030 KBUF now has a translator in the Garden City area at 107.1. So you can get KBUF AM or FM. We start ag information a little bit after 6 o'clock each market day. We have market updates, ag news, weather, and a whole lot more. You can also listen online at westernkansasnews.com. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching.